So today in this video we are going to be covering two-dimensional array on Java. Nana. What do you mean by two-dimensional array means? Generally the collection of arrays we can call two-dimensional array, or I can say that simply. So two-dimensional array is a collection of an arrays. We can say that. So a single array or single dimensional array is a collection of same data type elements, whereas a two-dimensional array is a collection of again different arrays. And here one dimensional array means where we are storing the data in single row, whereas in two dimensional data we are representing the entire data elements in multiple rows and multiple columns. Single dimensional array is a collection of individual values, whereas two dimensional array is a collection of arrays. That means internally it is having again collection of elements, and each element of the two-dimensional array is again an array, so that we can store more amount of data vertically as well as horizontally. So finally it is one type of array where we can store the information in both rows and columns. The syntax for the two-dimensional array is, first we have to write the data type and followed by array name and double square brackets, and then equal to new data type followed by rows and columns. So first square brackets is indicating number of rows, whereas second one is indicating number of columns. So rows are horizontal one, columns are vertical one. And if you consider an example, see here, so int followed by array name like vals followed by two square brackets are written equal to new int of. So new keyword in Java is used to allocate the dynamic memory, Nana. That means whatever the memory which is required for array storage, like example, if you in this case a single integer occupying 4 bytes of memory in Java. So here 2 by 2 means 2 into 2, 4 integers. So totally 4 integers it is capable of storing here. So totally 4 into 4, 16 bytes. So 16 bytes of memory will allocate by the compiler to this particular vals array. So that memory allocation done at the time of execution rather than compilation. So for that only we are using new keyword. And the size of the array is always is equal to number of rows into number of columns. So generally 2 by 2 in the sense 2 into 2, that is 4 elements. For example 3 by 3 means 3 into 3, that is 9 elements. So the capacity of the respective array is depends on the number of rows and number of columns. And how can we initialize the data in the respective two-dimensional array means by using the both row number as well as column number. So here we have two indices, one is row index, another one column index. So if you clearly observe that example I given what on the screen, see here. So here 2 by 2 matrix are given like 10, 20, 30, 40, that is 2 by 2 matrix. So where the first column is indicating by 0, 0. So here in previous screen only I given that example. See, in above I given in a screen, see that. So row 1, row 2, row 3, column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, that is 3 by 4th matrix. So 3 rows, 4 columns are there. So there if you observe each and every value how I am representing, see here the first value I represented by a 0 by 0, a of 0 by 1, 0 in the sense 0th index. So always indices are starts with 0. So 0th row is indicating first row. So and 0th column is indicating first column. So like that the first column and the all indices will be keep on incrementing. See that 0 0 0 1 0 2 0 3, again 1 0 1 1 1 2 1 3, 2 0 2 1 2 1 2 2 2 3. So like that the indexes for both rows and columns will be maintained by the two-dimensional array. So first one is indicating row number, whereas second one is indicating by column number. The same representation in initialization and printing also we are using. See here value of 0 comma 0 is indicating first element, that is 10. Value of 0 comma 1 that is indicating second element, that is 20. So value of 1 0 indicating second row first column, that is 30. Value of 1 comma 1, 1 comma 1 is indicating second row second column. So like that we can store the data in the two-dimensional array. And even that is static storage. If you want to store the data in dynamically, means by using the scanner class, also we can do that. So that is what I given in the snippet, code snippet. See here nested for loop we are using. So I already explained how to use nested for loop and how to demonstrate nested for loop. So that implementation only matrix representation also. So here I've given system.out.println and enter values. So that means whatever the data we are expecting from the keyboard, we are asking for the customer to enter that. So once he entered that, all data we are reading by using two for loops, that is one is for row representation, another one for column representation. That entire data I stored in value of ij in the indicating the I is for rows, whereas j for columns. So that all data will be stored in value of ij. And now printing the same snippet, but only the difference, instead of reading we are printing. So that is what we call system.out.println value of ij. So for each and every value will retrieved by the respective array and will print it over the screen. So these are the two things we are using in the two-dimensional array to read the data, to print the data. So if you want to better understand about two-dimensional array or what you call matrices format, you should first of all thoroughly practice about nested loops. So then only you can easily understand this topic. So now we will go for execution. So just I created one class called matrix. So in this I want to give a demonstration on two-dimensional array. So first I want to read a simple 2 by 2 matrix dynamically, and I want to display the respective data, and even I want to do the transpose of the matrix also. So whatever the matrix operations, sum of the two matrix, product of the two matrix, transpose, these sort of operations we can perform by using two-dimensional array. Nana. So now we will do one by one. So as you know that one, first we will import the util package to read the dynamic data. So to use scanner in my class, so java.util.star, and then I'm defining first two parameter int row comma column. So how many rows and how many columns, and I for iterating the number of rows, and j for iterating the number of columns. So these are the four parameters I'm defining first of all, and then I'm defining scanner object here. So scanner input is equal to new scanner within the brackets, so system dot in, and that data we are going to be using. So now I'm going to be reading the data from the keyboard. So for that, enter rows and columns of matrix. So in better understanding, enter number of rows and columns of matrix. So that two values I'm going to be storing in R and C. So R equal to input dot next int, and after that C is equal to, so input dot next int. So number of rows or columns given by the client. So with that size we have to allocate the memory dynamically for storing the information. So for that I'm defining two-dimensional array. So int, let's take, I'm giving matrix, just give the empty, and here you can give new int of. So here you can give the number of rows and number of columns. So this is how we are allocating the memory for the two-dimensional array using the given syntax by the Java. And now what we have to do, we need to read the total data for storing into the respective matrix. So for that I'm asking to customer to enter the data. So enter, so I said if it is 2 by 2 means 2 into 2 4, if it is 4 by 3 it is 12. So I cannot give the assurance what he will enter. So based on the entered row and column I have to take the decision. So enter R into C. So that will give you the number of rows and number of columns. So total elements. So enter values. So means if we enter 2 comma 3, let's say example. So we are asking to enter 6 elements totally. So now that all 6 elements we are going to be storing into the array. So for that we are using nested loop. So for that I am using iteration variables I comma j. So for I equal to 0, I less than first one rows and I plus plus, and now for j equal to 0, j less than c, then j plus plus, and we have to store into the array. So that will be represented by matrix. So matrix of I, and second element will be represented by j, and is equal to input dot next enter. And here so many people confusing that. See here. So do we have to define only I and j here? So can't we define other variables, or can't we extend j and I? So there is no rule like that, Nana. You can write even j and I also, opposite also. But why we are writing generally means j will come after I. That is the reason we are writing. But there is no rule like that. You can write first j equal to 0, j less than r, j plus plus, I equal to 0, I less than c, I plus plus. But here also you need to write j comma I, not I comma j. That means how you define the variable in for loop, the same way we have to define inside, that's it. But variable name not mandatory. Like if you I want to example, you can take p comma q, p equal to 0, p less than r, p plus plus, q equal to 0, q less than c, q plus plus, matrix of pq. So that also is available, but only the mandatory is rows and columns. See, first for loop always representing number of rows, second for loop always representing number of columns. That is mandatory, means your row size will always provided for the first for loop, your column size will always provided to the second for loop, then only the loop will be iterated correctly. And now I want to print the data. So for the printing of the data, I'm using same for loop, but only the difference I said, instead of here matrix representation, I mean reading, so just I'm printing system.out.println. So I already told you, whenever we are using arrays, don't use println, use only print, because to make it in same line. So now I'm printing matrix of I followed by j. So now anyway, after ith increment, I said I is indicating row, j is indicating column. So once I is going to be incrementing, in the sense it has to represent the new row. New row means we have to move to the new row. So for that, just we are writing, after completion of the jth iteration, we have to go to the new loop. For that we have to write slash n. Slash n is indicating new line. So now this is a simple example for two-dimensional array. So now I'm going to be running, you see here, then we'll go for execution of in detail also. Enter the number of rows and columns of the matrix. So let's take example, I'm giving 2 by 3. So totally it is asking 6 elements. Let's take example 10, 20, 30, 50, 60, 40. So now you see the output 10, 20, 30, 50, 60, 40. But all are combined in single line. See, all are attached to one another. So that we can achieve by using some spacing. So here, while we are printing, see, I didn't give any space. So we have to provide some space. If you want to regular space, we can give like this. If you want to give the tab space, use the slash t. So slash t will give you tab space, means 4 spaces between the each value. So let's take example, I'm giving 2 by 2 matrix. Now I'm giving 10, 20, 30, 40. Now you see 10, 20, 30, 40 will looks like a matrix. So this is the way how you are using the two-dimensional array. Now we will see in detail how this loop is going to be executing. So as I said, if you want to refer that execution process, we can go for debug mode, and before that I will just wants to you tell that how the incremental is going on, we'll see briefly, then we'll go for debug mode also. Yeah, now you see here, so first here let us assume that system.out.println, enter the number of rows and columns we given, let us assume that 2 by 2. Okay, so this is the first output line you are getting in your output, enter the number of lines. So now I'm giving 2 by 2. So now immediately it is asking enter 4 elements, example I'm giving. Okay, so now what happened, you see, so these 4 elements has to fill with 4 positions. What are the 4 positions as for our understand? 0 comma 0, 0 comma 1, and 1 comma 0, and 1 comma 1. In these 4 positions, the respective 4 entered elements should enter automatically using our for loop. Is it happening really or not, we will see now. So now our loop, if you consider here, see here, so what is the for loop first? It is I equal to 0. So initially I equal to 0. So now we have to check the condition. So here R is how much? It is 2. So is it 0 less than 2? Yes. So it will come inside. So now it will go for, again there is a loop. Now j value how much it is? J value it is inside 0 again. So now is it 0 less than c? C means 2 again. So 0 less than 2? Yes. So now again it will come inside. So matrix of I, j. What is the I value here? 0. What is the j value here? 0. So matrix of 0, 0 will filled by your value. So what is the matrix of 0, 0? Your first value. So your first value, let us assume that filled with 10 in our case. So now it will execution completed. So now after this execution, as I said, as for the concept of nested loops, until the inner loop completed, it won't go for outer loop. So now it will go for jth increment. So j initially it is 0. Now j plus plus, how much it is? 1. So now it will be 1. So is it 1 less than 2? Because c value is still 2. So it will go inside. So now matrix of still I will be 0 only, but j will be 1 now. So matrix of 0, 1. So filled with the second element. So matrix of 0, 1 filled with second element, that is 20. And now j plus plus again. So what is the j plus plus now? It is 2. So is it 2 less than 2? No, the condition failed. So inside statement completed. Now it will go for outside. So now again I will be incremented with 1. So now I will be again 1. So is it 1 less than 2? Yes, it will go inside. Again j will be recursively working for 0 and 1 and also 2. So now you see 1 comma 0, so this will filled with 30, and now 1 comma 1, so this will filled with 40, the next element what we are entered. Finally j value will be 2, it's failed. Now I will be 2. So now if you observe, even I also not 2 less than 2, so it is also failed. So now it out of the loop. So now again the same way the printing loop also will execute, and it will print the data by whatever we entered as similar to this one. So this is the way how the recursion is executing the nested loops in particular two-dimensional array. So now even if you want to more understand about, we have to go for debug mode, that will give you the loop execution also. So now I'm going to be running in the debug mode. See here, so as I said, debug mode means here we have to click that. To run the debug mode, it's better to maintain the breakpoints so that we can easily understand. So what I did, see here I add one breakpoint, and after that here I'm going for doing the breakpoint, and after that for loop, outer for loop, inner for loop, and after that reading statement, and after that outer for loop, inner for loop, and printing statement and new line statement. So now you can clearly observe that, see, flow of execution. So now I'm going to be running the debug mode. Now you see, you can easily understand. Now you can easily understand, see that. So first enter the number of columns, and after it came to the execution. So now you see, so now it is asking that to enter the data. So now we have to enter, let's take I'm giving 2 by, let's take 3 I'm giving, under 2 columns, sorry, 2 rows and 3 columns, 2 by 3 matrix, totally 6 elements it is expected to execute. So now again it is waiting for our line, C, enter R and C values. Okay, so now you can run this code. See here also R value is representing by 2 and C value represented by 3. See that value is also showing correctly is there or not. That means what we entered 2 by 3. So is it really stored or not? You can observe here, see that. So C value is showing here 2 and R value showing here 2. So like that the value also, input values also you can check it correctly, whether it's correctly or not. Okay, and for that mode, your resume mode, you can press the F8 also for shortcuts. So now you see, so for loop it came to the for loop. So as I said, so it's asking that enter 6 values. So first we have to enter the 6 values. So now you see 2, I'm entering 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now we have to move to the next point. So 6 values we entered. So now you see it entered inside. Okay, so now again, so now you see it's going to be reading the first data, and now see for loop it entered to for loop, inside for loop, again inside. Now you see it's a j plus plus, now exited. So now you see it came outside because we given 2 by 3. So 2 by 3 means I loop will be repeated for 2 times, j loop will be repeated for 3 times. Now you see 1 time, 2, 3, 4 outside, see that. So now already for loop 2 times repeated, so it is also coming outside, say that. So now you can easily clearly here also you can understand. So I'm going to be showing console also. See here now again, first outer for loop will be coming for 1 time, so 2 times, see that. Again I'm running, so it coming inside. Now system.out.println, now it's printing the data. So here this data 2 printed. Now you see again I'm printing, so now also it's coming for inside printing. So see 3 printed, so now 4 printed, so 1 row completed. So it's coming to the next row, see that. So 5 is the second row, and then 6, and then 7. So now it exits from the loop and our execution is completed. So like that the program execution will be understood by the debug mode. So if you want to, it is the straight what we entered is printing. So if you want to print the transpose of this matrix, so that means transpose means it will convert the rows into columns, columns into rows. So that is technically called as transpose. So for that you need not to do anything, just we need to change the, see, I is indicating rows, j is indicating columns. So we need to interchange this ji. So now it indicates transpose of matrix. So now you see I'm enter number of columns 2 by 2. So I am entering values, first one 1, 2, 3, 4. So now the output, see, actually we are expected output is 1 horizontal 2, 3, 4, but here you got that, see that 1, 3, 2, 4. So that means the rows will be interchanged to columns, columns interchanged to rows. So that is technically called as transpose of the given matrix. So these are the two simple examples for two-dimensional array. Even we can also work on like multiplication of two arrays and also sum of the two arrays.